Heartworm disease in dogs. This is a 2025 update. More importantly, are there things that actually work to potentially prevent and or treat this disease at home? Heartworm, obviously it's a very serious disease. Your dog potentially can get worms that go kind of like this in their heart. Does your dog need to be on a monthly preventive? Maybe yes, maybe no. Are there holistic options to consider? In many cases, yes. And if your dog were to ever get the disease, is there something natural that could treat it? Possibly. So what is it? Yes, it's a parasitic infection affecting the heart, arteries around the heart. The brief heartworm life cycle. First, you have a mosquito biting an infected dog, and they ingest some of these heartworm larvae. The larvae develop in the mosquito to their infective stage. That's a mosquito then bites a healthy dog, spreading heartworm. And if that larvae is allowed to mature, it then develops into these adult heartworms, affecting your dog's heart and lungs. Then that infected dog, those adult heartworms, they produce microflaria. And once again, that whole life cycle just continues. Heartworm, it now appears to be on the rise, and it's found throughout the world. Think of it in areas that are tropical and humid. So in the United States, along the Gulf Coast, the southeastern US, along the Mississippi. It's actually been found in all 50 states, and as climate warms, it's slowly moving northward. So it's been found throughout Canada. But that being said, it's still very uncommon in Canada. It's common in Southern Europe, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, Southeast Asia, Thailand, Japan, the Philippines. It's now reported in Australia, that is now also seen within the Middle East, even Africa. So yes, it's this parasitic infection which is making its way around the world. And last year, the American Heartworm Society, they did report that they were seeing increases in some states where there had been a relatively small number of cases, specifically ones near me, in Washington, in Oregon. So yes, it's a real serious disease. You obviously don't want your dog to ever get it, but does that mean that your dog needs to be on these monthly preventives? Suggestions from the American Heartworm Association is, guess what? Your dog should be on these monthly preventives year round. Just stay on medication forever. Great. But just because it's in your country, in your region, does that mean that all of a sudden, like, you've now got to give your dog another drug? They got to be on this monthly preventive. So I'll use the example of where I live, not that far from Washington State. Is my dog on a monthly preventive? No. So for too little to get heartworm, first of all, there needs to be mosquitoes. No mosquitoes buzzing around yet. For it to actually become infective, a mosquito has to bite a dog that has heartworm. Those larvae have to mature in that mosquito, and it has to be hot enough for that to happen. If it's cool enough, that won't happen. You also require the right sex, the species of mosquito. So a whole bunch of things have to go right if you're looking at it from the point of view of the heartworm, for it to actually go through all those life cycles to become infective and then potentially affect your dog. So what can you do to holistically potentially prevent this at home? So the number one, you need to keep your dog's immune system strong and robust. Avoid these repeated vaccines, really minimal vaccine schedule. Avoid things that are potentially suppress the immune system, i.e. prednisone. Repeated use of the conventional antibiotics. Provide excellent nutrition. So don't just be feeding your dog that, carb-filled kibble. Start feeding them whole foods, i.e. real meat, which the poodle really likes. If you're going to be feeding a carb one that's healthy and nutritious, i.e. sweet potato, you're adding in other potentially nutrient-filled veggies, i.e. kale. Do you want some of this? Ensure that your dog's diet includes nutraceuticals that can potentially help fight off disease. Things such as essential fatty acids, probiotics, antioxidants, colostrum. Practice excellent mosquito control. This is the insect that is spreading heartworm. If your dog doesn't get bit by mosquito, he's never going to get heartworm. I really want to highlight this one oil, neem oil. It's from the neem tree in Asia. It's considered the most important, most effective, natural anti-insecticidal herbal. So they tested its repellent properties against a whole different species of mosquitoes. And what they found is it was incredibly effective in terms of repelling most mosquito species. Some are in the range from around 65 upwards to 100% of all these mosquitoes were repelled using this 2% spray recipe. So here's how you can make your own mosquito repellent spray for your dog. Number one, a great base for a spray, half a cup of witch hazel with aloe. Number two, this is the coconut oil, but it's in a liquid form. 1/4 cup. Number 3, this is the star of the spray. This is the neem oil. When it's cool as it in my house, first you have to warm it up to get it into a liquid state, but you're using 2.5 dropperfuls, which is 2.5 mils. Then number 4, this is lavender essential oil, 20 drops. Should you be testing your dog for heartworm? That's something I do suggest, especially if you're not on those conventional preventives. If you're in an area where heartworm's year-round, you want to do that minimum twice a year. Some holistic veterinarians, they discuss using no-sodes for prevention, but once again, that would be something that needs to be under the guidance of a holistic vet. In my personal experience, I would be reluctant to use those for my dog. And if your dog were to ever get this heartworm, could you holistically treat it? You're getting heavy. You're heavy. Dr. Steve Marsden, who's one of the co-authors of this book, The Manual of Natural Veterinary Medicine, he's actually published a holistic heartworm tincture. It includes a tincture starting with ginger, then something known as wormwood or sweet anise. It is a documented antiparasitic. Next, it includes garlic, which also has some marked antiparasitic properties. Then the herb thyme, once again in tincture. Last but not least, the spice cinnamon, also in a tincture. It's blended up in an herbal tincture, something like this, with doses of 0.1 ml per 5 pounds of body weight, 2 to 3 times a day. Dr. Marsden, he says he's actually used that tincture combination to successfully treat dogs with heartworm in his practice. He also reports adding in bromelain, that's an enzyme extracted from pineapples, and what it does is a much better job of breaking down those dead worms and helping them be eliminated. I'll put the exact amounts in the description box, but once again, I mean, this is something that if you were to consider it, it needs to be under the specific advice of a holistic veterinarian. And if my own dog ever had heartworm, would I consider that herbal tincture blend? Probably not. Lastly, what about the monthly preventives like this Revolution? The drug's actually called selamectin. Like, should you be using it or not? Well, if you live in an area where there really is high risk, where you're seeing lots of heartworms, so you're in the southeastern US, for instance, you happen to be in the Philippines where it seems to be endemic, well then, in those instances, I would be giving that to my own dog because there's so many dogs in the area that have it. When you've got a high mosquito population, you add in a lot of dogs, there's a much higher chance of your dog ever acquiring it. But you're going to be using the lowest effective dose, and you're only going to be really giving it when the right conditions exist, like when mosquitoes are around and it's warm enough for it to mature within that mosquito and then potentially transmit to your dog. For example, I recently came back from a trip to Florida. It was the Global Pet Expo. It was a great experience. Spent a lot of time outside. Did I see any mosquitoes? Feel any mosquitoes? No, I did not. Yet still, pretty confident that most veterinarians are saying, like, your dog needs to be on that monthly preventive all the time. I personally wouldn't have my dog on that monthly preventive until mosquitoes were around, because if there's no mosquitoes, your dog's not going to get heartworm disease. Is heartworm a serious disease in our dogs? Yes, it is. But are there a bunch of different alternatives that can potentially prevent and or treat it? Yes, too. Thanks so much for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets of Heartworm in Dogs, the 2025 update. Click up there to subscribe, hit the bell to sign up for notifications.